Hello and welcome to the Ivy League Sisters podcast, where you're invited into the world of high-achieving women who earned that coveted Ivy League degree and now are here to get real and honest about the pressures and expectations that come with claiming this achievement. I'm Lauren Baluchian, and I'm the founder of Ivy League Sisters, a mentorship community where intellectually curious and slightly rebellious women band together to support each other through the personal and professional seasons of life. In this podcast, we peel back the layers of perfection to reveal the authentic, often messy, and always inspiring stories of women who have been where you are. So whether you're an Ivy League graduate, a high achiever in any field, or simply someone striving to live a more authentic life, the Ivy League Sisters podcast is a place where you can realize you're not alone. And if you're new here, like and follow this podcast so you don't miss out on the latest episodes. I hope you enjoy the conversations. In today's episode, Building an Empire from Bone Broth. Yes, you heard me correctly. I did say bone broth. We hear from our guest, Cornell graduate Kimberly Hehir, as she reveals how she transformed a family recipe into a multi-million-dollar pet nutrition company that's now in 11,000 stores nationwide. She shares with us her commitment to quality, sustainability, and giving back as she's gone on this journey. Okay, well,
Yeah.
I feel like we should dig into like some of your journey, like your entrepreneurial journey, because I'm deeply fascinated by it. I'm sure you already alluded to the fact that like you weren't expecting to go where you landed, like in this world. And I actually think it's a really important topic for a lot of women to hear that it's possible and what it might look like and how the breadcrumbs sometimes lead you down a path. So would that be
Yeah.
something that you're open to sharing and going deeper in?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, for me, I had a corporate career. My last corporate job, I was head of strategy for a luxury hotel company based in New York City. We had 500 hotels in 90 countries. So mentioned my husband traveled a lot, but I also was traveling a lot. My first child was actually born while I was on a business trip. So I was 26 weeks pregnant and I was traveling for work and had complications and got stuck ironically in Honolulu. I got stuck in Honolulu for 3 months. And so I had my first child. I had my second child 17 months later. And right when I was 9 months pregnant with my second child, my boss, who was the CEO of the company, decided he was going to retire. So the board was like, would you like to slot into his spot? And I'm like, well, I'm 9 months pregnant with my second child. I travel a lot already. My first child was born while I was on the road, and the CEO position is about 250 days minimum a year of travel. No thanks. So, long story short, they ended up doing executive search. They brought somebody else in. And then 2 years later, I was just kind of like burnt out. I didn't really agree with the way that that new person was bringing the company. And we kind of just decided, he was like, I'm just going to eliminate your position. Cause I was kind of like the head of strategy, right hand person. He's like, I'm like, that's fine. I'm like done. So my husband's like, now that you're not working in New York and I'm commuting between New York and Tokyo, how about we move to Hawaii? I was like, I never in a million years thought that would be happening to me, but living in New York and having a job like I had, people would be like, oh, what are you going to do next? And Blackstone was like, oh, we just acquired Hilton. Why don't you come help us? And I had two babies I never saw. So I was like, you know what? I'm just going to take a break. I'm going to go to Hawaii for like a year or two. My husband's working all the time. And we ended up there for 13 years. And while I was in Hawaii, because I'm a total type A personality and I didn't know anybody there at all. So I joined a lot of nonprofit boards. I joined the board of the Children's Hospital, which is where my son was born, and kept myself, I did some consulting for like 4 seasons in some other hotel companies, but just kind of, took a little break from the corporate world, but kind of still had a little bit going on because I was on all these boards. And then my sister approached me in 2017 and she was like, so I was having dinner with mom and dad and our brother Tom, who's in the food industry. And long story short, he basically convinced her to start this company because she had this rescue dog named Brutus who was 13 years old or 12 years old at the time. He was 135 pounds. And dogs that are that large usually live until they're about 8 or 9. So he was like, how the heck is Brutus still like running around? And she's like, everyone asks me that. And I swear it's this bone broth that I give to him. I pour it on his food. And he's like, well, where do you buy it? And she's like, I make it because there's nothing out there that's pet safe. Like the human bone broths are not pet safe. And so I make it myself. And he's like, well, if there's nowhere to buy it and everyone keeps asking you about it, you should start a business. And she's like, I don't know. And he's like, call Kim. She needs something to do. She's been stuck in Hawaii too long. So she called me and I was like, I know nothing about the pet industry, but I know about starting businesses because when I was at leading hotels of the world, I oversaw all of their ancillary businesses. We had 27 offices worldwide. So I oversaw that whole arm of the business. And I did raised a fund to invest in their hotels. And I did a lot of that on the kind of finance and business structuring side. So I did the research and I saw that there was a huge, void in the industry. There were really cool, like mom and pop, artisanal pet food companies. And then there was Purina. So like the little mom and pops were not scalable and Purina wasn't really high quality and artisanal, like cool products. So I'm like, we can develop like a really cool, like artisanal product, but let's be scalable from day one. And then we saw that the pet industry was recession proof. It was booming. People were spending more on their pets' food than their kids' food. Over 70% of US households had a dog. So there were like all of the stats were there. And I'm like, but I also know that whatever you write in a business plan never happens. So we have to beta test this because we can't go big and then fall on our face. And so we got Wegmans Food Markets and Big Y supermarkets to sign on as a beta test and two different demographics. And we purposely went after the grocery segment because we saw, similar to like human food and snacks that you could only get maybe at a gourmet shop, now you can get at any supermarket. So it was a similar trend with pet. And so, and also, quite honestly, I'd rather sell like a pallet of product than a case of product to a little pet boutique down the road. So from an efficiency standpoint, it just made more sense. So we
So
beta
a question.
tested.
So when you said that we're going to make it scalable from the get-go, this is kind of this is the work that you were doing to start to plant the seeds and
Yes.
data. Okay.
Yes. So we, and we also partnered with manufacturers that were scalable. So we were never making this in our kitchen and selling it at a farmer's market. We went to commercial manufacturers. The people who actually make our bone broth, half of their business is hotels and restaurants. The other half is hunger relief. So they make over 600 million pounds a year of nutrient broths for starving people in third world countries. So that's the technology that's unique to our company, is that we infuse supplements into our bone broth for functional health. So we have like a skin and coat formula, we have a hip and joint formula, we have a probiotic formula. So it's all functional health
I have a
benefits.
quick question too. Were you able, the relationships from your hotel, did that help intersect, like, because, or no? Is that any?
No,
Okay.
not for that one, but we definitely built our business on relationships and people. So we ended up getting into Target national distribution the first year we were in business, and people were like, how the heck did that happen? And I'm like,
How the heck did that happen, Kim? How did
yeah, like
that happen?
it was relationships. So we had my brother, I mentioned, was in the food industry. He used a Target broker, because he did all Target's private label Greek yogurts. And so he's like, talk to these people. They're basically across the street from Target. We went and met with them. They're like, oh, they don't really get this bone broth thing. And I was like, do you have a dog? And it was one of those things where it was persistence, following up, trying to, like I always said, if someone shuts the front door in your face, go find the back door. If it's locked, climb through the window, because it literally was like trying to figure stuff like that out. So the Target broker was like, yeah, I have a dog. And I'm like, you should try this product for your dog. And then, I follow up with them a month later. It's like puppy crack. My dog won't eat without this product now, because you just add it to the dog's food. And then I was like, so the pet buyer has a dog, right? He's like, yeah. I'm like, can you bring some to him? So then the same reaction, because the product's just really a good product.
Right. It's beautiful when you just need someone to experience it. It does the selling for you. It's just getting them over the hump to actually give it a shot.
Yeah.
It's like,
Yeah. So we ended up finally, they were like, okay, we'll try, a 50 store test. And then they called us back like a month later. Like, we decided we love this product so much, we want to just go national, like from, this was in November. They're like, we're going to go national in March. And we're like, oh my God. And so that was November of 2019. And we went national the week of the COVID shutdown. So we were like, oh my God, now we have to pivot to a digital world, and we cannot compete like financially in digital advertising with like Purina. So we just had to be like super scrappy and creative. For us, a lot of our, like the biggest challenge for our product is the learning curve. People are like, what is bone broth and why should I even give bone broth to my dog? So that's one of our biggest challenges. But again, like relationships, like one of the buyers for one of the supermarket chains we got was one of my best friends from Cornell. Her husband's in a fantasy football league with the owner of that supermarket chain's son, and the son had a dog. So, it was like all these like weird connections that we just constantly like work the network. And that has really helped, for us, like relationships mean a lot. And we really work hard at like trying to maintain those relationships, because it's really, really hard in CPG, because buyers are always changing all the time. And you have to start all over, because you could have a great relationship with someone. They totally are, are a fan of your product. And then the next week they're like, oh, we said we were going to bring in all these new SKUs, but now it's a new buyer. And they're like, oh, I changed I have my own plan. So it's not easy. I think if I knew all of this before I got into this business, I probably wouldn't have done it. But
I hear
here I
that
am.
all the time with people, with whatever the thing is, right? They're like, it's a lot, but it's like once you're in it, you're in it.
You're in it. And if you're in it, you got to do the best you can do, and just like,
Right.
blow it out of the water. So
Yeah. And my hunch is like anything that's worth anything is going to be chock filled with challenges and things that are going to delay you, and all the stuff that we have internally too gets brought up. It's like, oh, the resistance, oh, I just want to run this way. Like how many times when we face a challenge, we want to pivot or not listen. And I don't know what helps you though. Is it because you're just so deep in it now, or like what is also like at a deeper level, Kim, that keeps you excited about the future of Brutus Broth?
I mean, for us, so our mission is to nourish your pet while giving back to the community. So when my sister and I sat down and were like, we're gonna like start our own company. She also had a corporate background, and for us, like we have certain like value pillars within the company. So high quality product is important to us. Sustainability is important to us. So one of our manufacturers, for example, that does most of our liquid bone broths, they're 100% hydropowered. Our package is made from FSC certified materials. The little caps are made from sugarcane. So we have a really robust sustainability platform. We're both moms, so we do a lot of mentoring. We actually have a relationship with the Yale Entrepreneurship Society where we bring in interns. We have a kids committee where we teach kids about problem solving and entrepreneurship, and also philanthropy. It's not just like a one-day event. It's something that is ingrained and you have to nurture. And we do a lot of philanthropy. We work with hundreds of animal shelters. So for us, at the end of the day, people are always like, what is the one thing you want people to know about your company? And I'm like, that we're a company that cares. And this whole concept was not thought up in a boardroom. So many companies, it's kind of like executives sitting around and be like, what's going to be the next thing? Okay, let's capitalize on that. This was something that is a family-owned company, family-run company. We are definitely more business people in the pet industry. You see people like, I love my dog, so I wanted to, make treats and get into the pet food industry because I loved my dog so much and I made these really yummy treats. My sister and I looked at it as a business opportunity, but yeah, there was a family recipe. There was a real dog named Brutus, but we also were very thoughtful about how we wanted to build our company and what we wanted our company to stand for. But I mean, we also, again, like we're go-getters, and we were like, if we're going to do this, we're going to do this. And I remember my dad at the time being like, we had an Amazon consultant the first year saying, we're getting you on Amazon. You should be selling $50,000 worth of bone broth a month on Amazon. My dad's like, who the heck's going to buy $50,000 worth of dog broth? And now we sell over $200,000 a month of bone broth on Amazon, and we're in almost 11,000 stores. So for us, we were like, go big or go home. Like, if we're going to do this, we're going to do this. So
Kim, I have chills right now. Like, you are a woman of integrity. That's what I'm
Well,
hearing.
thank
Like
you.
everything you just said, like that's the word that just comes into my heart as I'm listening. Like a woman of integrity.
Well, I hope that people think of that when they think of our company, because sometimes we make unpopular decisions because of that, but it's the right thing to do. And it's our company, so we can do it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Okay, I want to dig a little bit into the fact that you had a double mastectomy.
Yes. So my
When,
sister,
how? Tell me like what.
yeah, I mean, so I mentioned we started this company, and one of the things for me personally that was important was to give my dad purpose at a time when he was not in a good place because of his cancer diagnosis. And he had to sell his business because he couldn't keep up the day to day. So the first year that we were in business, which was 2018, when we were doing the beta test, my sister and I found out that so I'll back up. My dad was at Sloan Kettering. He was being treated for prostate cancer. They said they got everything. He went back 6 months later. They're like, we didn't get it all, but the cells are growing really abnormally. Would you be willing to be part of this research program? Long story short, he found out he had the BRCA2 mutation, which was very strange because we're not Ashkenazi Jewish background. We have no background of like breast cancer or anything. But this particular, I guess, variant of the BRCA2 mutation, which doesn't get picked up in a lot of other testing, comes from the male side of the family, and it can result obviously in like ovarian or breast cancer, prostate cancer, pancreatic cancer, which his father died from. His brother died when he was in his early 20s from cancer. So we started like connecting the dots. We're like, oh my God, all these people died of cancer at young ages on his side of the family. And so we went through the testing as well. And there's four of us, there's four kids. So I'm the oldest, and then my brother in the food industry, and then my sister and brother, our twins, were all BRCA2 positive. So my sister actually, she had her double mastectomy first. It was on her 40th birthday. She had her double mastectomy, and then I had mine July 2018. But for us, we were still kind of in the starting phases of our company. It was during the beta test. It was something that we were like, if we'd rather, you know, we think that of knowledge as power. We'd rather be in control of our fate than being stressed out, going to a mammogram, and then finding out you're now a cancer patient. So for us, it was all like preventative, prophylactic surgeries that we did, just because we knew the writing was on the wall, because we'd seen it through my dad's whole family. And yeah, so that was pretty crazy. So we both went through it, and we said if it wasn't for Brutus Broth, we would just be kind of like feeling sorry for ourselves. But Brutus Broth keeps us distracted. So yeah.
I know that was one of the things you said. It was like, let myself be distracted by the good things in my life.
Yeah. So,
Yeah.
and keeping busy, keeping busy is always a good thing.
Oh my goodness, though. Wow. Well, that is true. Knowledge is power, and controlling the controllables. Like
Yeah,
you have that data now. What are you going to do with it, right?
exactly. And what are what could the other outcomes have been, is then the other outcome is then you're a cancer patient, and that is a whole nother ball of wax.
Right.
So,
Yeah.
yeah.
Well, it's interesting because you'd said in your profile or your introductory post into the, this Ivy League Sisters community, I don't know if I've really had any hardships. And I don't know if you recall using that word or that phrasing. It struck me because I think we often minimize our own challenges and sometimes think, well, that's not, when we think of hardship, we think of like what we see in the news or what like true tragedy is. And so it's like we minimize our own challenges and experiences. And I'm saying that for any woman that's listening and to you, that based on what I've heard, you faced real hardships and you've come
Yeah,
through it.
I mean, yeah, I wouldn't say hardship. I would say, yeah, there's challenges, but you kind of get through them. And I don't know. I mean, I think I'm a pretty lucky person at the end of the day. I mean, I'm very fortunate. I have a pretty healthy family, and I've been very lucky, and I've been very lucky in my career too. So it's been, for me, I don't think of myself as having hardships at all. So
We could go down this path of, yeah, I hear what you're saying. Like it's all relative. It's all like a spectrum,
yeah,
what you and the gratitude. Like I can definitely sense your gratitude for what you have and how blessed your life has been.
yeah, I've been very lucky. So.
And your story is one of immense inspiration.
Oh, thank you. I don't really think of it like that. I mean, we just kind of set out to do certain things that we think are important and we work really hard. We're so lucky. We have an amazing team of people that we work with as well. One of the things we said when we were starting this company is like, we're going to have a no jerk policy. Like, we only want to work with good people that are doing good things and have good intentions. And, if you're spending so many hours a day at work, you want to be working with people who have the similar values and that you're going to have fun with. So, and we're doing some really cool things as a company. It's been that's really rewarding. It's like, even though like there's a lot of long days and then you get an email from someone that said, I just want to tell you how amazing your product is. My vet told me my dog would live a week and that was 2 years ago and it was because I found your product. Or things like that are just really cool, that we've been able to just help a lot of animals and people, because a lot of animals are part of people's families. So
That's amazing. That's amazing. What's really, really, what is hard about for you, looking even at the horizon of 2025, what's going to be your biggest challenge area that
just growing the company, there's a lot of things that are out of our control with certain, like we had a situation with a distributor that like wasn't sending our product even though they said they were sending it, and so then we got like one of our SKUs was discontinued from a store because of that. So there's like stuff like that that's just uncontrollable, that can really impact your business, or you end up getting a buyer that comes in and they have no experience and they're like, oh, I like that packaging is prettier than that packaging, so I'm going to put that on the shelf instead of that. And you could be performing, you could be doing everything you could be doing, and like that sort of thing keeps me up at night. So it's just because there's nothing you can do. And
Yeah.
that's just kind of a function of this kind of business that I'm in. So, and I've had to learn this whole business. I think if I knew again what I knew, but like a lot of it is total, like some of our success has been because we're completely ignorant about the process. Like we got into Petco and our broker was like, you got into Petco in like a month. Most people, it takes like 2 years. And I just point blank asked the buyer, I'm like, when can we get on shelf? And he's like, oh, well, I was like, your next reset's in June. Can we get on in June? He's like, I guess I can make room for you, So my broker's like, why did you do that? I'm like, because I'm just used to like
Ask you for what you
asking
want.
what I want. Why wait around? The worst he's going to say is no, and then I'm in no worse position than I was in if I didn't say anything at all. So,
Oh, that's brilliant.
yeah.
That's so brilliant. I love it.
Well, I think the one thing that's important as a takeaway is, and that's what, the Ivy League Sisters provides, is just like a support network, and having that in place, because that is so key to anything, whether it's personal, professional, or anything, is just having a group where you can go and vent to, or be like, oh, I have this challenge or whatever it is. It's always helpful to have like a sounding board, which I think is great in terms of what you guys are providing. So just wanted to do a shout out to you, Lauren.
What is your monthly kind of like, just give me a sense of Kim's life right now.
My life right now is a lot of Zoom calls, basically from like last week I was on Zoom from like 9 a.m. to 7 p.m. every day. And then,
And who are you talking to? Like, is it a little bit of everything? Is it a smattering?
Yeah, so I'll have like sometimes meetings with buyers or brokers at our ad agencies, potential investors. We get a lot of interest because we have the distribution that we have. Our revenues are kind of like that mid-market, and we're self-funded. So a lot of like, we're ripe for the picking. So we get a lot of that kind of interest. We're in the middle of like trying to finalize all of our 2025 budgets. So doing that, we have product innovation calls. We have calls with manufacturers. My sister deals more on the manufacturing side.
I was just going to ask, how do you two carve out your Earls?
Yeah, so she does more like of the manufacturing and compliance, because we are actually, as a pet, we're human grade. So we go through USDA and FDA testing, but we also have to adhere to AFCO, which is the animal feed version of the FDA, but that is regulated state by state. And every state has different rules. So it's actually harder to be compliant as a pet food company than a human food company. So she deals with all that. And then I deal more on like the sales, marketing, that whole side of the business. So, I mean, it's, you know, in every single account, like I have a guy who's based in Bentonville, all he does is Walmart. So I have a, you know, call with him. Then I have like our people in Minneapolis for Target. And then, you know, so it's all different depending on the account, different people that I have to meet with. And then on the ad side, because then you have like Chewy ad campaigns, and then you have Amazon, that's totally different. And then you have Walmart, that's totally different because the ad campaign guy is different than the guy that's the broker that runs all the reports and makes sure we get POs. And so it depends. Like it's all over the place.
Yeah.
It's all over the place. But I'm learning a lot. I never,
bet.
you know, thought I'd know all this. So learned a whole new industry midway through my life.
Right. So you are open to selling coming
Yeah.
up.
I mean, we like I mentioned in the beginning, when we started this company, we absolutely were looking at this company as something that we were going to build, scale, sell. It's never was meant to be like a legacy company, even though it's a family owned company. It was never meant to be like this company that we pass down to generation. But when you look at our growth, like we're in the Inc. 5000, we have grown really, really fast because we really didn't. I mean, if you look at it, it's been 5 years. So we've gotten into 11,000 stores in 5 years. Like, once our beta test was done, we were, you know, we stepped on the gas and we just haven't stopped since. So we just continue to grow.
What are your revenues?
Our revenues are not as high as most people. Most people think we're a $50 million company. We're trying to get to 20 right now. So it takes a while to get momentum. So it's like you get into Walmart and then you do a test and then they add stores and then you know, it takes a while. So we are just launching our D2C, which we did everything backwards. We went bricks and mortar first, and now we're doing D2C. We're doing like an athletic greens type subscription for dogs. So we'll be launching that this year. So next year we're hoping to be at 25 million. So we'll see where we end up, but it's, yeah, I feel like it's been a really long uphill battle.
Oh, I want to just take you in my arms once you're there and just like, can we just rest?
I
Can
know
we
it's
dance?
nice to sleep
Can we
more than
dance in
5 hours
Hawaii
at a
together
time.
and be in a retreat, Kim?
It sounds great.
We'll get there. We'll
Yeah.
get there. Well, it's been it's an honor to like witness a woman on her journey and doing it and in the middle of it and living it and breathing it and being it. It's wow. Like I want to like bow to you in the sense of no, not in a like holier than thou, but in a honoring and a reverence and a appreciation.
Thank you. Thank you. That means a lot.
Yeah. Okay, I like to finish these with 3 like fast round rapid fire questions. And
Okay.
yeah, no, they're easy. First thought, best thought. But give yourself a moment if you need. The first one is on your rose bush of yourself. What is the greatest thorn? People pleasing, imposter syndrome, or perfectionism?
I would say it's definitely not people pleasing. Um, I would think somewhat imposter syndrome, even though I never would have thought that I would say that, mostly because I think people just think that this company is so much bigger than it is because of our distribution and that we have like much higher revenues and we're trying to get there, but we're just not there. So that is definitely something that stresses me out because I feel like we should be bigger than we are.
Do you have any
And
sense of what that thing is why you're not? Like, what is that sits there? Is it scale? Is it human capital? Is it capital?
it's probably capital.
Yeah,
It's like-
capital.
It's capital. I think if we had more money, we could turn out more products and we would get there. You know, we go to these reset meetings with retailers and like, what else you got? What else is new? And we're like, we have this one new product. They're like, one, we should have like 50. So like, that's definitely a challenge. So that's again, why next year we're looking at switching things up a little bit.
Yeah. Ooh. All right. The next question is, what is a lie that you tell yourself?
A lie that I tell myself. I guess I don't know if it's necessarily a lie, but I have this thing in my head that everyone should work as hard as me. And my team's like, not everyone's going to work as hard as you. So I think it's more that I just have high expectations for people. I think because I just
Because
don't know
you must have
why.
them for yourself because it's you.
Yes, I
Right.
think people should work, and my husband's the same. Like we
Yeah.
work 7 days a week, and people are like, that's not a good thing. You shouldn't tell people you work that much. And I'm like, but that's kind of, I feel like that was the generation I grew up in. I know like a lot of younger people like are really into work-life balance. I'm into work-life balance, but and my husband and I are a good match because he's basically like I work with my friends. Like I do deals with my friends. And there's just like a very blurred line. Whereas I think younger generations, there are very distinct lines.
Mm.
So the lie I tell myself is that I guess that everybody should be working like me when they probably shouldn't.
Then you also, does that fall into no one does it as well as I do, or like I better do it myself because
Oh, I definitely have that problem.
yeah.
I'm self-aware. We just went through all these 360s and they're like, you just micromanage people. I'm like, sometimes it's because I don't trust them to do it right or they're taking too long to do it. So I just do it myself. And they're like, you need to delegate because you're going crazy. Like you just are too burnt out. I'm like, I know.
Isn't it, it's such a tough catch 22. I feel you, Kim. I totally feel you on this because
Yeah.
it's
And it's
hard.
hard because it's also like my company. Like
Right, it's your baby. Yeah.
before when I worked in the corporate world, I think I was definitely like more forgiving about stuff like that.
Mhm.
But now it's like it's my company and I'm paying the bills.
Yeah,
So if something's not done right or a mistake is made that I could have prevented, it like kills me. So yeah.
feel you. Um, the last question, which is, what is something that is like edgy in your life right now? Meaning, like it's feeling a little uncomfortable. It's like I'm pushing a new growth area, and that could be professionally, it could be personally, it could be.
Oh wow, that's hard. Um, a new growth area. I don't really, I guess I just don't have like I don't have time to like do all the personal growth. I think I just wrote this in the survey that you sent out recently is that right now I just time management's a big issue for me. So it's just trying to like like it's 2 days before Christmas. Am I done with Christmas shopping? No. I'm like, there's so many things. I think also the other thing I would have to say is I mentioned I spent half my time in Miami and half my time in Connecticut. One of the challenges for me right now is that I'm in Connecticut because my mom's there. And I have this really big sense of guilt of leaving her because I was so far away. My dad passed away last year. I moved back a few months later to help her and be there for her. And I like even this holiday, we're in Miami, but my mom wanted me to be in Connecticut. And I was like torn because my kids and my husband were like, we're in Miami. We want to be in Miami. And my mom's like, but there's nothing like Christmas in Connecticut. And I'm like, oh my God. So that's been a real challenge for me is
So are you staying put in
managing.
Miami, or are you going to be bopping up to
No,
Connecticut?
my husband convinced me that he's like, you're there all the time. You also need a break.
Mm.
So that's been really hard for me because I'm the oldest and I
Mhm.
just feel like I took that burden on and it's really hard. And I say, if I wasn't working as much as I'm working, I think I would be going crazy because she lives in a remote part of Connecticut. So I bought a house like right near her, but I have no friends there. I have like no social network at all. When I was in Hawaii, I would play tennis in the morning. We had a very active social life and I'm like I'm just working all the time. So it's like a phase of my life, but that phase is going to come to an end at some point and I need to figure out how to manage that. So that's something that I think aging parents is a big topic for a lot of people like and how to manage it.
Absolutely. Oh my
Yeah.
gosh. You know, you would really resonate and connect with, not like right now because you've got a lot going on, but in our community, there's a woman, Catherine Briggs. I don't know if she's from Dartmouth, but she's,
I know her name from the posts, I think.
yeah, she's built a lot of things. She's a go, 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 big connector, like always got lots on her plate happening, really into philanthropy, really into wanting to give back and dealing with aging parents, mom, the whole thing. Like there's just a lot of, when the timing is right, I'll connect you to either intentionally or it'll just happen on its own, hopefully. Cause I just think that um, you're not alone. You're absolutely right. I've had this conversation with her and a few others as well of the guilt, the wanting to be the good daughter, wanting to do all the things, wanting to
Yeah.
provide, and the burden, like not burden is a heavy word, but there is a sense of responsibility that comes with being the oldest one and carrying that and staying in that role. So
Yeah, definitely. So, yeah. And
Wow. You are the Energizer Bunny though, Kim. I mean, you're wearing the pink and I just feel your energy is just, I could use a little dose of Kim every day to get the wheels going, get the charge happening.
well, I really appreciate the opportunity to chat with you today, Lauren. Thank you for that.
Yeah, this was fun. This was great to get to connect and hear more about your journey, what you're on, and now I feel like we're all a little bit more on the sidelines with you, cheering on 2025, what's to come.
Yeah, stay tuned. Hopefully, it will be a good outcome.
We'll stay tuned, definitely. Thanks for being part of this community. It's helping us see it through, continuing to grow it. All right, I know you got lots to get to, so I'll let you go.
I hope you enjoyed the conversation. If you'd like to be in contact with our community, you can find us on Instagram and LinkedIn at Ivy League Sisters, or visit our website at ivyleaguesisters.com. And if you found this conversation valuable, I invite you to share it with another woman, another friend, another loved one, because it's through our sharing that we inspire one another and deepen our connections. Until next time, remember, you're not alone. We are in this crazy thing called life together.